Hello and welcome back to Mellohi, a Dream SMP podcast. This is episode 10 and today we'll be doing another listener suggestion and discussing the unsolved questions of the Dream SMP. As always, we'll mostly be referring to the characters by name and specifying when we're talking about the writers, and we're also more interested in analysing the characters, which means we get critical of some of them. Okay, we're back with another viewer suggestion to talk about the unexplained mysteries of the Dream SMP lore. I don't think there's really been any solid lore recently.
What do you mean?
There's been some Tommy
stuff. Tom, not Dream. Tom is totally lore. He's 100% lore. I stand by this. He's my beloved, just like every Dream played character, and he's great, and
I would also like to bring up Foolish lore because there have been some things recently that I am very interested in. Firstly, he is becoming more violent, and secondly, when writer Foolish checked his statistics, apparently he's killed 3 people on the server. Now this might seem inconsequential, but if it was just out of character stuff off stream, he could have just told us that, because he probably wouldn't forget that, because I'm pretty sure this is the only server he plays on. So what I'm thinking is it's something that character Foolish has done, but we haven't seen it, which is why I'm putting forward the theory that he is being possessed by the egg.
I mean, there's a fair chance of that, given the fact that he had that whole dream where the egg was pretty much like, listen to me. I don't know if he's being possessed, but I would make it a fair bet that he's being influenced at least, and...
The egg was in his head even when he was at his mom.
Yeah. Which, where is the egg? He's been spending a lot of time at the mainland from what I know, so I mean, if the egg's still where it was, or if it got moved to Las Nevadas, though I don't think it did, it's definitely around.
And I mean, he thinks he's gotten rid of it, but that's a typical possession thing, You're possessed by something and you think you've gotten rid of it and you only find out that it was just hiding from you. He thought he got rid of it because he didn't hear the voice anymore. But the egg probably just stopped talking to him because it knew that he'd go back into the holy water. It did.
True. The egg is... We still don't know what the egg is. There's one unsolved mystery. What is the actual egg? It's
just an egg?
Is it a dreamin'? Is it something from another world? It's super old, we know that much, because it was in Tales of the SMP. So what is it? What's inside of it? What's it gonna do? We know it's not over yet. We got at least one more big egg lore stream at some point. Personally, I think that Red Velvet should come out of it so that Ant can have his...
Don't we all?
I mean, he deserves it, He deserves his little, Oh, actually, you know what? I saw the most sad fan art the other day, because apparently at the egg banquet,
he had a seat reserved for Velvet.
And then Ant died, and Velvet never... Although, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because, on the one hand, they invited a bunch of people so they could murder them. On the other hand, did he invite Velvet because he thought that Velvet would join the egg? So, is it I'm gonna murder my boyfriend for, my cult, or is it I'm going to invite my boyfriend to join the cult? We don't know.
That's
we
true.
Simply do not know. What other egg shenanigans are there?
So I know what you're talking about, but personally, if we're talking biology, I think it fits more as some kind of fungus.
Probably.
Because it seems to be on one hand it's called an egg, but on the other hand it has vines. And also just fungi are weird in general.
Mycelium.
And there are some fungi that can mind control things, so it fits.
Seems like it's some kind of weird, it kind of reminds me of Poison Ivy from the DC comics, and how she could talk to plants and control them and grow them so that they had a mind of their own, kind of. It kind of reminds me of that sort of thing, except instead of Poison Ivy at the head of it, it's this egg thing, which it's I know we call it the egg. I don't know if it's an actual egg, or it is some kind of plant or something, though, because, it's... what is it? I don't
It's
understand.
a living creature.
It's definitely alive. It's definitely rude as hell.
There's definitely a lot of mystery, I think, around, how much of a person is it, is it just operating on instinct? It has a voice, but how close is it to, a person, essentially. Like,
it can make decisions, it can try and manipulate people, it's able to convince them to willingly join it. I'd say it's basically
but it has a
functionally
very
person.
basic scheme of manipulation of just like find out what the person wants and offer it to them. There doesn't really seem to be a lot of like subtlety to it. Anything like that comes from the people it has under its control.
Yeah, but then you have that conversation with Foolish.
I would say that I think it's like the closest thing to a true evil the server has.
I'd agree with that.
And I think, didn't we talk about like the second episode or something in the first, one of the earlier episodes, about how it's more of a symbolic evil?
I think so.
Than a character.
Yeah.
But obviously that might change as we find out more about it.
Oh yeah, because we had that discussion about how there's two types of villains. There's the villains that like are symbolic, like Ozai from like Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's not supposed to be like a fully fleshed character, and I think the egg kind of falls into that. But if that's the case, what does the egg represent?
I'd say like, I guess, corruption and people letting their emotions and attachments control them.
Unfulfilled desires. Things you want so bad that you're willing to give up anything for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a big theme so far, so it fits.
If we're talking about egg stuff, I'm trying to think of other like unsolved things that involve the egg and I know it's not exactly the egg specifically, but just the banquet in general. What the hell was Rambo doing during that?
Ha! Oh god.
Yeah, that's a whole mystery in of itself.
What's the point of like the bandana and him being up in the rafters like a little weirdo?
He was being edgy.
He was. That was the edgiest skin I've ever seen.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was just like, hey, I need to go spy on this thing. How can I be super edgy?
I've seen the theory that I don't really think it fits though.
I saw a theory that like the bandana was because of that one stream where Rambo makes Puffy freeze in place by making eye contact with her. That maybe that was why, so that no one would possibly accidentally make eye contact with him and then get stuck. Or I've seen other people think that like it's because his eyes glow, or because him being an Enderman, if you stare.
I don't think that really fits because we've seen him in Enderwalk before, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work like that.
And when they glow, if he's able to teleport when he's underwalking, then it could be that they glow when he does that. But yeah, I don't really see it that being a thing.
I think it's like a safe thing to say that it's either because it's like it freezes them in place, or alternatively, if people look at him and catch his eye, even if they don't know it, it'll set him off because he's more Enderman-like in that state, and so he doesn't want to attack anyone.
I'd say he's more Ender-like because, as from what's been given to us and what I can gather, Ender walking Rambo is just Rambo with all his memories, which makes it seem more like the Rambo we see most often. Streambo is the Ender walk state because he has less memories then. Like it's weird. You have an ailment that makes you more like yourself.
True.
Although actually, I do have a theory that God, my connection might be a bit bad. I actually have a theory that Ronbu, like the chill streams, might be canon to Enderwalking Ronbu. Yeah, because I don't know. I just think it's interesting because we know that we've seen him before without realizing, and I think it would add an extra dimension to like Rider Ranbu's tendency to do stuff like spawn a wither for mining.
Oh yeah, no.
Or just being more chaotic in general,
being
like
chaotic.
The Ranbu we usually see in lore has said that Enderwalking Ranbu, from what he knows, is like more wild and chaotic, and that fits just like streamer Ranbu.
Yeah, no, 100%. I do feel like
I just think it would add an interesting dimension to his character for that to be the thing.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I do feel like if it's not Enderwalking Rambo, but it's more like Rambo feeling more like himself and being more confident and falling into those tendencies of calling Puffy out on blowing up the community house, placing passive-aggressive signs everywhere, freaking making 2.5 stacks of TNT just to blow shit up.
That's true.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun for that to be his like canonical characterization.
I do always think it's kind of interesting when because I think Rambo gets like his character gets like shaped into like two different phases. There's either Enderwalk Rambo, who's the one that remembers everything, or there's normal Rambo's not the right word, but you know, normal Rambo
Regular
who
Boo.
remembers very
Regular
little.
Boo is in the one we regularly see.
But it feels like there's like phases in between of him like remembering more stuff or less stuff, and depending on how much he remembers.
I mean, we
he's more
have
confident.
seen that the Ranbu we usually see is able to remember things that Ranbu, while Enderwalking, has done.
True.
And then there's also the voice, which seems to be sort of him talking to himself
Yeah.
and trying to get himself to remember the things. So it's not like a strict boundary thing between him not remembering anything and him remembering everything. Sometimes he remembers more and sometimes he remembers less.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's very fluid how much he does and does not know at any given time.
Which brings me to the next thing, which is what the heck is up with the whole him knowing Dream's speech that he wasn't there for?
I don't know.
He was practicing with Dream. Dream was practicing his monologue.
Yeah, the rehearsal theory.
I love
the
that
rehearsal
theory. I love that theory. I don't
He walked in
know.
on Dream monologuing, and Dream's like, okay, you gotta stand in for Tommy. Here's a wig, here's a shirt.
Like, I would say it was an accident on, like,
all you need to
content
do
creator
is
Rambo's part,
say,
but I seriously doubt it
I
was.
want my discs.
It was not an accident.
Yeah,
he's
he,
been
like,
pretty
planned that out
good
too well.
with his lore. But yeah, like, he's not one for metagaming. Like, he even, like, throws shade at
Puffy for
Puffy
metagaming.
for metagaming.
True.
Yeah. Like, he's very good
So I don't
at
think-
knowing what his character knows and acting on that and not
And also,
acting
like,
on
that's
what
not
he
something
knows.
he could just know. That's something he had to specifically go and memorize those lines
True.
Yeah.
by watching the disc confrontation.
So it's
So it's not exactly something you can just accidentally not notice that your character wasn't there. So it's definitely purposeful.
yeah. I think for Punza's line, at the very least, he probably had a conversation with Dream. I feel like he's had conversations about the disc confrontation with Dream while he was visiting him in prison. So he could have learned those lines from there.
That's actually a good point, because him going back to that vault happened after he had apparently visited Dream in prison, even if he didn't remember those visits. So maybe that's how he knew it, because one of those visits when he was Enderwalk, he went and talked to Dream, and Dream told him what happened before they showed up.
I mean,
But even then,
we do know that Dream was able to memorize the entire revival book, so I guess it's not too out of the way that he memorized his own speech, especially if he planned it beforehand.
yeah.
Like the whole, he planned to go to prison
Yeah.
thing.
It's the more you think about it, the more it makes sense that he planned to go to prison. Like the entire revolt, it's so impractical.
The vault's very impractical and very
And it just goes
unlike him.
completely against
Yeah.
all the tactics he's used previously. Like the fact that he was going to kill Tubbo when previously he's never given up leverage he's had on anyone.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And someone else pointed out, I think this was in Animation's video, he tends, or it might have been somewhere else, he tends to build things that are very small and efficient. And then you look at the board and it's just got all this wasted
Prison.
space.
He doesn't need a Skeppy cage, but it's funny. It's funny.
And
I
also
guess.
Yeah.
the whole Skippy cage.
The Skeppy cage just doesn't make
I
any
mean, like,
sense.
You could
Hey, Skippy, you wanna
argue,
stand
like,
in the cage
suspension
for
of
me?
disbelief,
Sure.
but they've never done that before. The closest thing I would say is the box beneath, like over the egg. But even then, there was the canon explanation of the egg affects your mind and influences you, so you don't you have the energy to break out.
Yeah. Like, the vault just doesn't make sense.
Especially with.
So, yeah. I mean, him practicing it enough to have it memorized seems pretty
It
fair.
feels calculated to make himself seem like a lot more of a threat than he is.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To sort of fit into that sort of generic villain role. And he even like references it. He calls Tommy the hero. He compares him to like Batman and hero origin story and everything. Like, he's invoking these tropes, and he's a very smart and strategic character, so I think that was probably on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's also like more further proof that he planned to be in the prison is that when he talks to Puns and he talks about having to go away for a while, he just looks at the prison and then punches towards the portal.
True.
Go away for a while to avoid death.
That didn't really work out for you, buddy. I'm sorry.
Foreshadowing, using like,
There's
I have a
no way
house
he
and
can
it's
know
gonna be
about
the biggest
Crackity.
house on the server and it's gonna have so much redstone in it. Bruh.
If that theory is true, I'm actually really interested in how that reveal is going to go. Like, I wonder, like, is it going to be in the lore stream? Is it going to be from another character's perspective? How is the fandom going to react? It's just interesting to think about how people would react to that theory being revealed to be true.
I'm curious how it would come out to be true. Like,
Okay, so we've got like a bit of a list here. Who was sending those messages that kept appearing in Tubbo's stream?
No idea.
no idea.
'Cause that's an interesting one.
It
'cause
depends.
I'm honestly not sure, like,
Tubbo
how
doesn't seem aware of
canon those
them.
are.
Yeah.
At least the first ones, because those were on April Fools.
It's well, I mean, I think they're canon now.
I do
least,
know
'cause-
in one of the first messages, they mention Michael, which is
They
interesting.
do. They also tell him to wake up. I'm pretty sure. Like, they act like he's asleep or something. Like, Tubbo is asleep, or the... And they, like, seem to be directly talking to the audience and trying to, like, encourage us to talk to Tubbo or something like that, which makes it even weirder.
And I think somebody mentioned, like, it's been a while since it happened, so my memory's a bit fuzzy, but the mention of there being two voices.
Yeah.
Like, one
they seem to
person
be
is
talking
saying,
to
I
each
think,
other.
go to the north, and the other person is saying, don't go.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the same person, but just at different times.
And it's interesting,
Yeah.
too, because then when the nuke goes missing, Tubbo, Foolish says, have you, like, checked, like, behind the mansion? And Tubbo's like, what direction is that? And he's like, north. And he's like, no, I know it's not north. Like, he's, like, Tubbo himself, like, insists multiple times that it couldn't be to the north. He even does it at the cookie outpost.
Talking about the nuke. I have a theory based on recent stuff. There is a less than zero chance that Punk has the nuke.
There's less
Why?
than zero
Punk
chance
revealed
that
something
Slime
to
might have the
Foolish.
nuke.
Why? What? Why? What? How? What? Explain.
But Punk revealed to Foolish that they have something that gives them leverage over Sam, and it could just be some kind of sentimental item or something.
Yeah?
But we know that what Sam cares about most is Fran,
True.
and we know that Fran isn't like an object, obviously, but also Puppy was messing around with Fran recently. So that's probably not the case.
I'm pretty sure Ponk still has one of the security cards.
But also the fact it wasn't like shown, and the fact that Foolish, who knows the nuke was missing, was shocked to see it. It's just making me interested.
Yeah, Ponk could have it. Although I don't know how Ponk would know about the nukes.
It's not like a certainty, but it's a possibility.
Right.
And I think that's good enough when we have absolutely no idea where the nuke
It would be
is.
interesting if Ponk is the one who has it.
So look, any suspect is a suspect. Any
The nuke
possible
is in
evidence is
Pun's
good
stomach.
evidence.
Puns has it in his... Oh my gosh.
He's eaten it.
Okay, what other...
It just
what other mysteries were we asked?
let's see, there's the nuke. The ones we were asked. Who set off the prison TNT? I would say
It's Rambo.
Rambo.
Yeah, it's gotta be Rambo.
Although I have seen something interesting recently. Somebody suggested that Quackity was the one who set it off in order to make
Sam
Sam
doubt
more
himself.
unsure of himself, so
Yeah.
that he could get in to get the revival book from Dream.
I
Sam
like that, but
manipulating
at the
Sam.
time...
So the
They
thing
didn't
is
even-
though,
Interesting.
Yeah.
the TNT sounds like it's happening directly above the cell, but like the cell is really low to the ground and the top of the prison is really high up. So if explosions went off at the top of the cell, it would be very difficult to hear it as close as it have it sound as close as it is when we hear it in the cell. There's also how inside the prison, on the day of the explosions, redstone appeared to be broken when Sam does the tour, and how when we look outside the prison, nothing outside the prison appears to be broken.
Yeah, that's true. The thing though is that Quackity doesn't start taking an interest in the Revive book until after Tommy comes back. So either he was playing the real long game on that and hoping that Dream kills Tommy proves that's a lot of planning, and we all know that Quackity's not that smart.
He's kind of an idiot.
I actually remember the stream where Quackity first suggested. I actually can't remember if that's before or after Tommy dies.
Well,
so I might want to go and check that after we were finished recording this.
I'm pretty sure
tomorrow,
it's after.
Because I can't remember.
I think it has to be after Tommy comes back.
I think it's with Bad or Sam, and he mentions wanting to take advantage. No, I'm pretty sure it was before actually, because I think he's talking with Bad, and he mentions wanting to offer Dream better conditions in the prison in exchange to get stuff out of him.
Yeah, but was that?
And
but that's
gotta be, because that's
different.
not by conditions. I don't remember there being any mention of Tommy dying, so
maybe
I think that was before, which gives credence to the theory.
I always
if
thought
he was
that
already thinking of that beforehand.
I always thought the timeline of events was Tommy goes into prison, TNT goes off, Tommy gets locked in, Tommy dies, Quackity thinks he's dead, meets Tommy after he comes out, realizes that Tommy's alive, Tommy tells him that the Revive book is real, all of that blah 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 blah, and then Quackity seems to get real interested. And then there's the
Schlatt deal.
Talk.
Yeah, I think.
But oh wait, no.
I think that was a factor, but I'm pretty sure he was interested in trying to take advantage of Dream in the prison before that.
I just remembered because in one of the first lore streams, he was talking with Schlatt, and Schlatt tells him about the green guy who comes in and out with the book all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe he did know about it a fair bet before that. Oh wait, no, but then Schlatt mentions Tommy. Being dead and being there. So what is the timeline
that
there?
happens
From
after
the week he was dead.
Oh my god, I don't know what the timeline is.
But I think I don't think he was thinking of the Revive book the first time. But I think that after Tommy died and came back, he started thinking about the book.
Yeah, that's possible.
And that's when he decided to go after and try and torture Dream for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very possible. I don't know. Quackity sucks. Character Quackity sucks. I hate him.
I think he's fun.
He's really interesting.
But then again,
and a little sad, but I hate him. My least favorite.
Fair enough.
How do you think Schlatt got the Revive book?
Does he have the Revive book now? I mean, I don't think so.
Well, not now, but before he gave it to Dream and realized what it was.
Oh, I have no idea. I think the running theory is that when he got banned, it counted as a death or something, and he got it somehow in that process. But who the fuck knows?
That's very
Maybe he
true.
just found it somewhere.
Even Dream doesn't know how Schlatt got it.
Yeah, Dream said he doesn't know how Schlatt got it. I don't think, did Schlatt even know how it worked? Schlatt said he couldn't even read it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he just found a random book and was like,
And
this is probably
because we know
worth
you have to
something.
destroy the book because we know you have to destroy the book in order to use it, so he probably never used it himself. Maybe he just didn't know how. Maybe there's instructions inside the book that basically say, hey, burn this and it
Punch
revives
someone with
somebody.
me and burn me, and you shall revive them.
Yeah.
And if you want to revive more than one person, then you better memorize this book so you can write it down again.
That really
so
would
back
be
was-
like a one case use.
What was Dream's message to Ron before, and why didn't he speak with Sapnap? I guess those are two separate questions that are kind of interconnected because they're both about Dream. The first one,
SOS,
I think the
probably.
smile was it's an SOS.
Yeah, it's
Because we know that the prison wasn't how Dream planned it to be.
Yeah.
it was
And
his,
also at that
So I
point in
think
time,
that it
Rambo
was-
stopped visiting, which is kind of disturbing. Probably not something he expected for sure.
Yeah. I don't think the prison's nothing like what Dream had said it was going to be like, considering he said you would only be in there for like 2 weeks and there'd be stuff for you to do, instead of being stuck in a 10 by 8 box. So I mean, woo! As far as if they're saying why didn't Dream speak to Sapnap, I mean that was pretty clear. He was on strike, dude. He's in the shittiest conditions.
That whole stream, it's like that whole visit is like a big part of the whole Sam was abusing Dream in prison.
Yeah.
theory. And it gets to like, there's this. First, you've got the fact that Sam has a pick called Warden's Willbreaker.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the fact that in the Sapnap stream, he's like, okay, so then you have the fact that I think it's actually in Tommy's first visit, he calls Dream jumping into lava attention seeking. Then you have the fact that in Sapnap's visit, he asks, well, first in Bad's visit, he asks if Dream was behaving. In Sapnap's visit, he's really suspicious.
Yep.
He kills Sapnap and sends him back to spawn instead of taking him out the usual way. And he's asking like if Dream said anything.
Yep.
Yeah, he was.
Which is what really. And somebody actually pointed out, I think that the potion shouldn't have killed Dream if he was on full health.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, Dream being starved.
And then there's the fact that like Writer Sam has been really vague about it. Like when someone asked, and then after Tommy dies, he just says the whole thing about how he thought he broke Dream's will.
Yeah.
But Writer Sam, when asked about the Willbreaker pickaxe, he replied with a very like vague answer of like maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then later on he said in a Q&A he did where he answered some questions about his character, he said that his character didn't specifically go into the cell to torture Dream. He didn't say he didn't do it, he said he didn't specifically go in to do it.
Oh yeah.
So it's rather suspicious.
Sam.
That implies he did it whenever he had to go in to feed him. Because he felt like it, or at the time.
Clock.
God.
I don't think he ever went in there intentionally, but Sam seems like the type that has a bit of a temper, and I can clearly see him going in there and Dream spouting off his mouth because he's the only one he has to talk to, and then Sam getting a bit too feisty, too angry, and taking it out on him. So, I mean...
I would explain why Dream's so attached, even though Sam's basically been abusing and torturing him for his entire stay in the prison.
I mean, if anyone at this point thinks that the prison is being run properly, I have to ask, what did you
What
miss
stream are you
literally like
watching?
every lore stream recently? Like, it's
Did
very
you miss
clear
the
it's a
warden
torture
cutting
box.
his
Like,
partner's arm off?
yeah, Sam is not a good guy anymore, guys.
Cards.
If he ever was,
Yeah.
considering he wanted the prison to just get the Badlands on the map and have them have power. Like, Sam is not a good guy. love
He
content
thinks
creator
he's a good
Sam.
guy, and he's able to justify everything he does because he thinks he's a good
prison
guy.
building streams, and he was like, "Oh, my character's gonna do nothing that you have to apologize for," and that was a lie. That was a blatant lie.
I mean, it's not a lie, considering I don't know if you can apologize for some of that shit. Oh, no.
Oh god.
so like to be an apologist for him.
I mean,
It's like you can see like can be like a Sam apologist, the same way can be like a Dream apologist or a Quackity apologist, because you just look at them and you go, you are very sad. You do terrible things, but you also are very sad. And I like you. And that is what it's like being a villain apologist.
see, Sam is incredibly sad when you think about it. Like, oh man, character Sam. I hate you.
Predictions
Not as much as
for-
Quackity, but oh my god.
Ha!
Get therapy.
Predictions for Last Nevada Snowchester, and I believe the ask was referencing the Syndicate.
The Syndicate or Fort Big? Which would be Wilbur and Tommy's little thing.
Oh yeah, Wilbur and Tommy. I have not been seeing... Wilbur's completely slipped from my mind. I apologize.
I mean, that's what... Wilbur has
I mean, he
apparently
hasn't
a lot
exactly done
planned,
that much.
but he hasn't done a
He has
lot
a lot
yet.
planned, but he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's been some scheduling issues with people being more busy with IRL stuff. Apparently, Techno and Dream, well, Techno at least was meant to be
Yeah.
out of the prison, but Sam was away for a few weeks, so they had to delay that, which is why they did the prison podcast stream.
Honestly, I'm okay with that, though, because the prison podcast stream was fantastic, and also...
I can definitely...
I
just
loved
amazing.
it.
I'm not sure it would be like a war. I can see it more as like spying and sabotage.
It's a
Yeah,
conflict.
It's a Cold War more than it is.
It's
At
a
least right
conflict,
now.
Yeah.
Everyone's really cautious and like keeping an eye on each other. But I could very well see. The thing is that I think Tobo's got a bit of an itchy trigger finger and is fairly a very paranoid person, and so is Quackity. So I could very easily see one of them
I mean-
going off at the other. very
Yeah.
quickly. Especially
Yeah.
Tubbo.
Especially if Wilbur is involved,
Oh, yeah.
because I can see him pitting them against each other. So once they fought, it created basically pulling like a Pucktopia era dream,
Yeah.
pitting them against each other so he could win in the end.
Yeah. The funny thing is I think, interestingly enough, I think this is the first time, other than Exile, and even then, Tubbo was still kind of on Tommy's side, you just couldn't really be for the betterment of the country. I think this is the first time that Tubbo straight up told Tommy, like, nah, I can't help you with this, I got my own thing going on, and you know what, good for you, Tubbo.
Good for you, Tubbo. Good
Yeah,
for
I
you.
think their storylines have been really interconnected for basically the whole story, the lore.
Yeah, I'm really excited
So
to
I think it's
see Tubbo sort of do his own thing. I hope he keeps, like, I know he's like, he says
especially
he's,
didn't Rambo say that he wanted to help Tubbo write his lore
he did.
Oh,
at some
yeah.
point?
Yeah, I really hope that Tubbo still, like, tries to, like, kind of write his own lore, because I liked a lot, like, the stuff that he's done so far, but I also know that, like, Wilbur is gonna apparently write part of it, which sounds cool as well, but at the same time, I'm just like, no, Tubbo's doing such a good job!
From what we've seen of Wilbur's writing, he doesn't really do character writing as much.
Yeah.
He seems to feel like he just lays out like the events that happen and then lets other people play their characters to sort of fulfill those events, which is why some stuff in season 1 kind of went off the rails a lot, like the Red Festival with Technoblade.
Yeah.
Not realizing that the rockets did that much damage and deciding to get, no, you know what I think my character would do?
Kill
and
everyone!
then just attacking the crowd that just stood there while he was forced to execute someone.
Yeah.
Fair.
Which, that's fair.
I will say, yeah, so I don't think Wilbur focuses as much on, like, character writing, although he did for himself, and he did a really good job with making Wilbur, because absolute little bastard that he is, with his character Wilbur. But I don't think he does a lot of character writing for Tommy and Tubbo. I think he kind of just knows, like, he knows Tommy's personality very well, so it's easy for him to see how this will work out and just play off of Tommy. And I think Tubbo doesn't...
And in season 1, I think Techno was the main one. He was like, actually, I want to take my character in a different direction.
Oh, yeah.
I want the whole...
He doesn't, I
think my character will turn against everyone and see them as betraying him when they make a new nation. That makes sense with my character being an anarchist.
Yeah.
And one was like, yeah, cool. You do that. That sounds fun. Because originally that was when going to happen. The Technoblade said that was what he was going to do with his character.
I think it's just, like, role-playing etiquette,
Yeah.
right? That he probably didn't, and this is just a slight criticism, but he probably wasn't really following it during the really early parts in some of his writing of L'Manberg, because you can tell, you can see Fundy trying to do something of his own, you can see Eric trying to do something of their own, but it never gets incorporated into the actual story because
he's very focused on
Yeah.
this set of events that he wants to play out and tends to not focus on anything but that, which I can relate to that. Sometimes you're just really interested in one idea and everything else seems to just fade into the background.
The thing is that when you have a large group of people, like a large group roleplay setting is just really hard to keep everyone involved.
You need
centrally.
to give opportunities for other people to get involved naturally.
Yeah, it's hard to have like a central storyline and keep everyone involved in that central storyline if you have like a really big cast of people. It's difficult to do that.
Well, I think the server has been doing a lot better since they switched to having multiple ongoing storylines with characters going between them.
Yep.
So for instance, like Punk, for instance, would be like a more minor character in like the Disc Wars, but would be a very much a central character in the Egg plotline, and is also pretty prominent in the whole prison story because of his relationship with Sam.
Yep.
As well as the Sandberg.
Yeah. It's really nice on the one hand because like people can like kind of float from arcs. The only issue then is you have people like Rambo who like can't do a ton all by himself. Like, he can do a good portion, but it's very
Grumble was
reliant.
actually just saying this just like a few hours ago. He's been having trouble with his lore because he wrote his lore in a way that means he has to rely on other people to progress, like to interact with, for his lore to progress. And I'm hoping that means Dream's character, because that means he gets out soon.
Maybe.
I know. But it means that there's only so much he can do on his own. But it does seem that he's like been making efforts, like with Trouble and stuff, to be able to do the lore that's involved with other characters that aren't part of his original plan.
Yeah.
Because I know Rambo said that like quite a few things that he wanted to do kind of fell through because he couldn't get a hold of people, or other people were like, I'm not really interested in that for my character, just I don't really have time. And so there's a lot of things that he like has planned and like come up with, but he's never and probably won't get to act on. So I'm really hoping that once, on the one hand, like I think things are picking up a little bit as far as like people on the SMP, which maybe that's leading up to something big happening. But on the other hand, it's just like, I hope that he can like kind of look at his lore and maybe come up with a way for him to just do something by himself and get progress that way. But it does suck that he has to
I think a lot of it is that my theory is that his character's further development is hinging on him interacting with Dream.
I don't even know if it's like,
which obviously isn't a possibility right now.
I don't even know if it's him like directly interacting with Dream, because like assumably the next step for his character is going through the experiment and getting his memories back and sort of merging with Enderboo. That's the lead up, or like that would be the big event for him to lead up to. But the thing is that for that to happen, he's waiting for something big to happen that would make it necessary, in which case it would be Dream getting out of prison.
Because it wouldn't make sense to his character for him to just do it randomly when he's already established that he's cautious about it and doesn't want to just do it without a good reason.
Like, the biggest thing I can come up with is, because he's made a character that's pretty passive, if that makes any sense. Like, he doesn't go out of his way, because he doesn't start conflicts, he just kind of vibes, you know? And that's fine, but it also...
I was actually about to say something similar.
Yeah, it means that...
he has like a character arc. Like, he's basically just staying the same and reacting to stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think maybe that's like the good thing though about if he gets his little like experiment or whatever, it means that his character will become more active, because it'll be Rambo with all his memories, who we all know is more willing to get aggressive and like take action. Cough, cough, blowing up the community house. Cough, cough, helping Dream. So maybe once we hit that point, it won't be as much of a problem for him, because his character will be like, well, I'm going to actively go and stop things and do things.
Here's a question we've talked like a little bit about before, Foolish inherits past.
Oh, yeah.
Because we don't know very much about either. We know that Foolish was known as a totem of death. He did some sort of job that went wrong and he killed a bunch of people. He got some character development and decided to be a pacifist, although that might not be a thing anymore. And we also know that he probably met the egg before but doesn't remember it. On Eret's side, we know that they lost their memory at some point. And we know that there's something up with their eyes. And for what their relationship is, we know that they knew each other a long time ago. Foolish remembers it, but Eric doesn't. We know that they fought against a wither cult together. And probably more groups. Although we don't know exactly why.
I mean, I feel like, although the specifics are unclear.
We know that they were good friends.
Yeah, it sounds like they were good friends. But I mean, like, to me at least, the most obvious theory would be that the egg is somehow involved with both of them losing their memories of that.
I think, didn't we talk about it in, not the last episode, but the episode before that? At least that's my theory, that the egg is somehow related to their memory loss.
No, I mean, that just makes the most obvious sense. But again, slow on the egg plot right now, because...
As for the stuff, like... it's definitely implied that, there's two things I think we take firstly, that Erish is some kind of immortal. Maybe a similar type to Filza, where she just doesn't age.
Maybe?
Or ages far slower, like...
Maybe.
Like, I mean, that seems fair.
Although, she doesn't seem to have the same, like, one life restriction.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the whole, they are related to Herobrine thing. Which, I mean, easy peasy lemon squeezy on that one.
But also the fact that we know that Foolish was more violent in the past. We know that Eret was violent with Foolish because we know that they fought a cult together. And we also know that at the start of the SMP, Eret's character was a lot more willing to betray people and do things like say, hey, I'll betray these people if you give me the crown. And they've developed since then.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is backstory Foolish and backstory Eret. We're probably leaning more towards the evil side of things than the good side of things. But both of them have changed since then.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense to me. I don't know, it's...
But I mean, who knows?
I'm hoping we get more
We
stuff.
also know that Foolish was... I forgot to say... Actually, we also know that Foolish was involved in the village that went mad from Punk's lore.
Wait, he was?
I know he's the descendant of people there. Yeah, so...
Like, I know Punk is
Punk
like
found like
a descendant
messages,
of someone from the Tandem
like a diary from one of, I think, the murderers from the village that went mad. That talked about how this man made of gold with green eyes, I think, I'm not sure if that was the exact wording, came and brought them these statues, and then the guy who's the murderer became obsessed with these statues.
Interesting. So it sounds like we've got Punk, Foolish, and Eret are all sort of connected, and then...
But we also know that the egg was probably connected to the village that went mad because of the whole red eyes thing.
Oh, yeah. Man.
So it could be possible that maybe Foolish even worked for the egg in the past or something like that.
Now I just want more egg lore, because the egg lore is so interesting, and, like, it's so, like, supernatural horror creep. And I get, like, the political, like, conflict with, like, Dream, because I love Dream, and I love that stuff. That's great. But the egg is just so cool conceptual-wise, and I really wish that we got more of it, and it just sucks that, like, so much of it ends up getting framed around, because people don't have time, or, like, conflicts come up with scheduling, and, like, I just want more! I don't even know who's mainly in charge.
So we do not have very long left, but maybe we can answer a question
we
more.
can do the easy ones, like who she is. I mean, I'm guessing that's related to Phil's. It's Phil's wife. Probably the god of death. I'm guessing, or she's a god. I don't know, but it's Phil's wife. What else?
Get Dream to whitelist her so she can be in
How
lore.
Dream knows about the Underrock? I don't think he does.
He does. He doesn't.
No, he does, because when Ronbu remembered talking to Dream in the Nether, he remembered Dream saying that he trusts this like part of Ronbu more. So he at the very least knows that there are two different parts to him, that sometimes he's like one way and sometimes he's a different way.
So he's just a little,
he might not know all the details
he's just a
about
little liar again. Okay, Dream, that's fine. Because he always acts like he doesn't, whenever anyone asks about him talking to Rambo, he's like, I don't know, man. He just shows up. It's fine. I don't know him that well.
I mean, technically he's probably right because he's never talked to the Ronbu they know. He's talked to Enderwalking Ronbu.
True.
With all his memories. So technically he knows a different Ronbu than they do. So technically he's not lying.
How many lives Tom?
But also he's lying. He's like completely lying.
How many lives Tommy and Wilbur have? I'm gonna say one, but that's a theory because we just don't know until someone dies. Who gave Rambu the letter in Snowchester?
I think they're probably just gonna wait and decide, like with however they do the lore. And if they said, oh, it'll be impactful to have Tommy die here, but we don't want him to be dead for certain, like permanently, or have to be revived. We'll just say that if you're revived, you have 3 lives back. Are they like, okay, we want Wilbur to die and he needs to die for good or he needs to be revived again? So we'll say that if you're revived, you only get one life back. I think because we haven't really seen anything on it yet, and people have been like wondering about it. I think they're just gonna decide based on what happens, and maybe neither of them are ever gonna lose a life in the story, and we just
Never get
won't
any
know.
confirmation.
I know. Okay. Who gave Rambo the letter in Snow Jester? That letter, it was meant for Tubbo, and I always assumed it was Techno, but on the other hand, that doesn't seem like a Techno thing to do, because Techno's real up front.
What was the letter again?
It was like a vague, like, threatening letter, like, you know what happened last time. And, like, I can understand...
That seems like it might be...
Because I always got the
That seems like it might be Quackity.
that it was for Rambo.
Well, it was meant for Tubbo. It was in Tubbo's mailbox. Rambo just took it, and that was why he joined the Syndicate, because he assumed it was from the Syndicate. But that doesn't seem like a very Techno letter. Like, Techno's a very upfront guy.
I wonder if it's Quackity, because like he was there in New Manberg and Manberg with Tubbo, so he might be telling him like, you've started a new country, remember what happened last time you were in charge of a country?
Yeah, it could be Quackity, but even then, Quackity's kind of a showman, and I feel like he would sign it. I don't know. Like, there's not a lot of people in the SMP who I think would just leave, like, vague, threatening letters for someone without signing it.
Here's a good one. Who's the 5th member of the Syndicate?
I mean, I like the idea of it being Dream, but I don't think it is.
Okay, honestly,
I like the idea. I saw this theory a while ago, and I'm not sure how likely it is to be canon. I just think it's cool. The idea that Slime is the 5th member, and his entire thing with Quackity is like half an act. Because he's actually like, he was spying on Quackity for a reason.
That would be pretty interesting.
And when he was found out, he just went, oh yeah, I'm totally innocent. I'll totally be your friend and spy for you instead.
I'm just a little
Because now he's got an in.
I'm just a little slime boy.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know anything.
I'll be honest, I have been convinced that
that would be a fun twist, I think.
Might be Dream. Simply because of... Okay, just imagine what Techno's impression of Dream is. The guy who meets him on the mountain, who says he can only work from the shadows, who gives him stuff in secret, who meets him on the mountain again, in secret.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Techno must have, like, a real weird interpretation of what kind of... Like, I think he said it before. He just thinks he's a weird...
He's kind of
they're
a weird
business
guy.
associates. And they're friendly. And I think they're... I like to think that
He's called them friends, okay? They're friends now. They are friends.
But, like, Dream's just, like, this weird guy that, like, blows up countries, apparently. And
just some guy.
Encourages chaos.
You know, that's actually the main reason I think Harper quit Ashley's Dreams thing. Because why would Technoblade, guy who blows up tyrannical countries, not want to invite the guy he blew up a tyrannical country with to his club for blowing up tyrannical countries? Why would he not do that?
Yeah.
And I think we're running... I think we're about done with time, but I think we managed to cover a lot of questions.
I think we covered just about every one of them that
just
we
about
could.
everything.
There's other ones that would take a really long time to discuss, which I'd be let down to do, but like, only so much time in a podcast. Maybe next time though.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thanks for listening to the 10th episode of Mellohi, and we hope you enjoyed it. You can also find us on Twitter at Mellohi Podcast, where you can ask us questions, suggest future topics, or just get updates about new episodes. See you next time!